So in day 3, we're actually going to start looking at embedded style sheets, and then we're actually going to start looking at what are called CSS classes and how we can use classes to be a little bit more specific and precise with the coding and the styling that we would like to use. So by the end of today, we're going to focus on these first 2 learning targets here. We're going to focus on coding and applying an embedded style sheet. The external and inline will come later in the next couple of lessons. And then we'll be looking at how we can describe and apply classes to define multiple different styles for a single HTML tag, but also something that could be applied to many different types of tags if they have a particular class. And that will make more sense once we actually discuss classes and we see them in action. So we're going to first start off by doing an example of an embedded style sheet. So we've talked about the embedded style sheet, how that's going to be in the head of a document and it's going to style just one particular page, but it will style all of the tags of a particular type within one page. So before we apply classes, I want you to actually see an embedded style sheet in action. So what I need you to do is go into your HTML, go into Unit 4 image maps, and however you saved the Project 4 file, so that could have been in-class project or whatever that was, it would be living.html in your files, and I want you to open up that living room file in Notepad++. So this is from that real estate website we did with the image map. And I'd like you to open that up so that we can actually add an embedded style sheet to it and then see how it actually works. So just to kind of start off, I am going to run this so you can remember what this website looks like the first time it's run. So this is that website, that living room website, very, very basically. That's what you should see currently. And I know that kind of like mine, your HTML file may not have good indenting. For right now, that's okay. We know that we use good indenting properties and good coding practices, but in this particular page, if it got a little out of whack, that's okay as you opened it up. So open up this file, and then we will move on to the next chunk. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to now add in our embedded style sheet. So I want you to remember that the embedded style sheet goes in the header of your document. So it's going to go between the head tags. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it some space, and then I'm going to tab it in. From here, I'm going to use good coding practices. And then we're going to use the style tag. We're going to open, and we're going to close it. And all of our stylings are going to go in between here. Now, if you remember, our type that we're going to use to be very specific is text-CSS. So we're specifying that we're using a text-based CSS to provide our styling information. Then from here, if you remember correctly from previous videos, we need to add in the commenting code just in case a browser does not, for some reason, support CSS. So there are browsers out there that do not, or maybe there's an issue and there's a bug with the CSS, whatever it might be, we always comment out our CSS code. That way, if for some reason the browser does not support our CSS, it's a comment and the browser can then ignore those styling requirements. So next, what we're going to do is we're going to add in some specifics for particular tags. So I'm going to click on the next slide so you can see that. And what you can see here is we're going to style our paragraphs in a very particular way. So we're going to give all of our paragraphs a text indent of 12-point font. We're going to have a font family of Arial, and we're going to have a font size of 14. Now note the very, very specific syntax we're using. Our tag or our selector comes first. We then have our brackets, and those curly brackets, if you remember, specify that there's going to be a declaration or style statements in between. So here we have text dash indent colon, so it's separating the properties and the values. We want to use a 12-point font. And then remember, a semicolon indicates the end of one particular styling, and then we can go down to the next one. Now I'm going to align these for indenting just so it's easier to read. So we have font family colon Arial. Then we have font size. We have 14-point font. And from here, we don't actually need to end this with a semicolon because we don't have any more statements coming after it. So we can just end it with that curly bracket. So I'm going to click off. I'm going to save. Then I'm going to come over here to my website, and now I know that this has been updated. So if I reload, What I notice is that each paragraph indents 12 points, just like I specified. The font family changes to Arial, and the font size increases to 14-point font. So anywhere where there is a paragraph tag, the text gets this particular formatting. So CSS is very nice because we don't have to come down and put all of that styling into our paragraph tags. We just state it once at the top saying all paragraphs will have this particular styling. Now we're going to add a little bit more here. We're also going to add something to our link tag. So remember that the A tag is our linking tag, and we're going to add some styling into that. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to add a text decoration of none. And while that might seem a little bit silly, what text decoration none does is it takes away any decoration around that text, which, for example, would take away this underline. So doing a text decoration of none will actually take away that underlining that's going on right now by default for a link. Then from here we have font size. We're going to increase that to 18-point font, and then again a semicolon to end my statement. And then lastly, I'm going to have color, green, and I'm going to change my text to be green. So if I save this here, come over to my web page and I reload the page, what you notice is that all of my links now, including this email link over here, anything with an A tag now is green, size 18, and is no longer underlined. So you can see that those are active links, but they are no longer underlined, they're bigger, and they're green. So we can use CSS to style all of those links very, very quickly. Now from here, the next chunk that we're going to style is our H1 tag. Now if I look down here, I'm not certain I remember putting an H1 tag in. So what we're going to do is we're going to add that to the very, very top. So I'm going to add in H1. I'm just going to see living room page and close off my H1 tag. And now I'm going to add in some styling for that tag as well. So we know that by default that will be black. You can see that added to the very, very top. That'll be black by default. What we're going to do is we're going to use CSS to change that color to be red. So notice I just have one styling in there. I could add more if I wanted, but I'm just going to add one. Now if I reload, it changes it to red. So just noting that this embedded style sheet is a really easy way to change all of the tags that are within one particular page. It's a very, very quick way to change a lot of tags. So hopefully this gives you a good idea of how embedded style sheets work. And what we'll kind of walk through in the next video is how we can now use classes to make our embedded or external style sheets even more specific and allow us to do more styling to different types of tags, or to specify what type of styling should be used for particular paragraph tags or H1 tags or whatever we might have.